Hi everyone, it's Samantha here from the channel Trying to Get By. I hope you are all doing well. So today's video is a what's for tea video, and I've been kind of doing my menu planning a little bit different. Instead of planning for the whole week base and then going shopping, which is what I used to do. If you saw one of my early videos, that's what I used to do. But over time, and because I've been thinking more about how I do my food and what I'm buying and everything, I kind of do reverse menu planning where I buy the good deals and then decide what I'm going to make. And so this video is me just using stuff out of my cupboards that I would normally buy that fulfills the criteria of, you know, cheap, healthy, reasonably priced food, and then just using up what I've got, including just pulling stuff out of the fridge of random and seeing what you can put together. So take a look at these 3 new recipes. If you can hear a noise in the background, it's because I've got the kettle boiling, because I know I'm going to make pasta for tea. But it's a case of what am I going to put with the pasta. We've got a variety of things in here. I have found, I forgot about this soup I'd made, so I've got a bit of that left. That is my chickpea carrot coconut soup. So we're going to get some of that. This is going to be a right mishmash. I've got a little half thing of tomato. That's going to go in. That's going to be some of our sauce. I do have some coconut milk yogurt if I want to put that in to kind of run it down a little bit. I've got some tofu. I'm not sure I want to use these. These are Chris's. He peeled some potatoes the other night. We've got some of those. Do I want to use this or do I want to save this? I'm not sure. Let's see what else we've got. We've got onion, so got to be an onion in there somewhere. Just check the freezer. Shut the fridge, don't waste the energy. Right, what have we got in here? Oh, I've got a little, whoop! Well, I have got a little thing of gnocchi left over. Oh, I can chuck those in when I am cooking the pasta. What else have I got? Dun, 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 dun. This freezer needs a sort out. I got some corn. I put some corn in there. Got loads of corn pieces. Chuck some corn pieces in there. Right, vegetables. We've got peas. I've got broccoli. No, I've not. I've got cauliflower. I got some standard mixed veg. That could go in, possibly. This is really kind of, what shall I make? Do you know what? We'll go in with some peas, I think. Yeah, I've got so much corn. It's ridiculous. Peas. Please. Can go in. These peas have been in here a little while. I don't think I'll go. Oh, wait a minute. Sweet corn. And peas. There we go. One's already open. So, there we go. We've got protein, carbs, sauce, onion, peas and sweet corn and sweet corn and sweet corn and peas. They can go in, and then I think I'm going to bake it in the oven. Put some cheese on the top. What do you think? Sounds a bit crazy? Let's see how it turns out. Pasta's on in salted boiling water. I have sliced the onions. I've got out the portion of the corn that we want. I've got out some peas and sweet corn that we want. I've just left my gnocchi in the bag, and I've got my 2 sauces there. What I'm going to do is I am going to cook this until it is just before al dente. Then I'm going to add my sweet corn and peas and my gnocchi to it, and they're going to heat through, and the gnocchi's going to rise up, and that's going to make sure that that's all cooked. And then we're going to drain it off. And then put that aside for a couple of minutes while we cook off our onions and our corn in this pan, because I can't be bothered cleaning 2 pans. So we're going to try and do it all in one pan and then bring it all back together and mix it all up. I've just tested the pasta. It's not al dente. It's still got that, it's soft on the outside, but it's still got quite a hard centre. So I'm going to go in with my peas and sweet corn, because these are going to reduce the temperature away from boiling now. So I'm going to pop those in. And to bring it back to the boil, I'm just going to stick that on top. Right, we're back up to the boil. I'm going to dump this. This is pumpkin gnocchi that I made a little while back. Going to put that in. Just going to find a slotted spoon just to pop that down. Now, you're not going to see it rise in the same way you would as if you were doing it in a whole pan, but I know it takes about 3 minutes, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm just going to leave it for the 3 minutes and then organise everything else. I've drained the pasta and all the things out of the pan, kept a little bit of residual moisture in there. I didn't drain it completely. There's a little bit of pasta water still in there. So, in here, first of all, a little bit of oil. I'm going in with the onions. Going to cook these for a minute or two, and then pop in, just found got some lazy garlic stuff left. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of tomato puree just to enhance that tomatoiness. And then we'll go in with our corn. I've popped my garlic in there as well now. The onions have softened slightly. I'm going to go in with the tomato puree. So about a good tablespoon. Cook that out very slightly, just for a couple of minutes. Always works better if you cook your tomato puree out. Just give it a good mix. There we go. Next, the corn, but you could use whatever you've got, so chicken or, I don't know, whatever you fancy in there as a protein. Beans, chickpeas. I'm not going to worry about cooking the corn because when it goes in the oven, well, it's going to cook long enough in there. Smarty's talking to us. He's a bit annoyed because the weather's gone a bit rubbish. Right, next in, my leftover bits of tomatoes and a splash of water, just to loosen up the rest of it. My whatever soup, I'm going to put a little bit of soy milk in there just to thin it down. There we go. Clean out the jar. That is going to be our sauce. I suppose I should taste it and see what it ends up like, so that we can see if I need to add anything. Let's have a go. I know the individual components are going to be great, it's whether they go together. That's alright. A little bit different. I think I might jazz up the flavour very slightly with a little bit of mixed herbs. Oh, it's terrible, Smarty, isn't it? Not being able to go out. And I think I might amp up like a smokiness to it with a bit of smoked paprika. Let's give that a mix. I feel as though I need it to be a bit more. I've got to try and get away from the coconutty flavour that's in, which is why the reason I haven't gone for the coconut yoghurt. I'm thinking it's too coconutty, but it's just the soup that I happen to have. Can't hardly taste the coconut now. Brilliant. Right, what we have to do now is hope that we've got enough sauce to go with our pasta. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some of this pasta back in. I will spill most of it. I'm going to leave a layer at the bottom so I don't have to worry about that spilling everywhere. Mix that up. I think it needs to be just a little bit more saucy, so I'm going to add a little bit of extra milk to it. There we go. Pick up the pieces of pasta that I've inevitably thrown all over the place. Right, let's taste now. Because obviously I've weakened the flavours by adding more milk. No, that's still pretty good. Think just... What should we go? A little bit of cayenne. Not too much because Chris can't do it. Though we've been going out to makers markets, and we were at the Northern Vegan Festival a little while ago, and whenever they have any hot sauces on offer, I always have to try them. I end up going for the hottest one, Carolina Reaper. So for in this, I'm not looking for heat, I'm just looking for richness of flavour. Cayenne's added it. Yummy. Gonna pop this all into my bowl. So I've got the rest of that pasta there. Just pour that on top while Drama Cat's doing its thing. There we go. Pasta bake a la what you've got in the fridge and freezer. And now I can wash these jars and use them for something else. I will be putting on some cheese once it goes in the oven. Vegan cheese you don't need to put on too early because it doesn't melt in the same way as normal cheese, but I'll put some on when we've got about 5 minutes left to go. There we go, bubbly and gorgeous looking and probably nuclear powered. As you can see, like I say, vegan cheese just doesn't melt in the same way as normal cheese, but let's dig in and have a little taste. There we go. Oh, that's hot. Oh, I can see a bit of gnocchi there. I'm going to steal that because I love gnocchi. There we go. So, in my mind, don't be afraid to use it what you have, just alter the seasonings slightly. So in this case, the coconut made it too sweet. The paprika and the cayenne took it down a notch. Really, really nice. Right, we are making a barbecue sauce for jackfruit. We're going to do this in the slow cooker. So I've done my 3 cans of jackfruit. And what I've done, let me just quickly show you, is this is the jackfruit. Now it often comes in quite chunky pieces, so I've just kind of broken them down a little bit. But you can see how nice and fibrous it is, that you would be, you know, slightly conned into thinking it was like a pulled pork style. So that's that. Just had that draining over the sink, but now I'm going to make the barbecue sauce. So I've had a look at a few different recipes. The main element is ketchup. There, so roughly it's saying 1 cup of ketchup, half a cup of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of vinegar, or 1 cup of ketchup, half a cup of vinegar, and 1/4 cup of sugar. I suppose it depends on whether you prefer a sweeter or a more acidic one. I know Kansas barbecue is more vinegar based, if I remember rightly. That's watching too many episodes of Diners, Drive-Ins and Dives. Anyway, so I've got ketchup, apple cider vinegar, brown sugar, Henderson's relish, which is substitute for Worcester. I've got a bit of Frank's Red Hot. I've got some French's yellow mustard, but I don't think I've got enough of that, so I've got a little bit of Dijon. We've got some onion powder, garlic powder, smoked paprika, and some salt. I'm eyeballing the recipe, so here we go. So we're going to start off with approximately... Now I'm going to go a bit more than a cup because of the amount of jackfruit that we have got, because I want to make sure I've got plenty of sauce. Then I'm going to go in with the brown sugar. I am tending to go towards the sweeter side, so that's just about 3/4 of a cup. Apple cider vinegar, I say I'm just guesstimating, that's just over 1/4 of a cup of that. Now, Henderson's relish, this will be about your 2 tablespoons. 1, 2. Now I'm going to have to get a spoon for some of the other ingredients. I've not got much of my Frenchies left, but we'll put what we've got of that in there. I might put a little bit of water in there from the kettle. Don't want to waste it. So I pop that on, give that a bit of a shake, and pop that in. Oh yeah, there we go. Might not need any Dijon after that. I will give it a taste now. Garlic powder, roughly a teaspoon. Onion powder, roughly a teaspoon. Paprika, yum. This is going to give you that smoky. I'm going to go a teaspoon of that as well because I like it quite smoky. Frank's red hot sauce, not so much because Chris is a wuss. He's videoing this for me at the moment, so he's probably pulling a face. So probably about a teaspoon of that for the quantity we are doing. And a good pinch of salt. And then we're going to give that a little bit of a mix. There we go. Now the jackfruit will release a little bit of moisture as well, so that'll thin it down slightly, but obviously then when it's cooking, it will cook nicely together. So, all that's mixed up, do a little taste. Obviously that's going to enrich it once it's been cooked, but it's got that little bit of vinegar tang where it just gets you right there. Not too hot, really quite tasty. Use my other finger. Chris, have a taste. What are we thinking?
Oh, that's nice.
There we go. Right, in with the jackfruit. Let's see if there's enough sauce to
looks
coat
like
it
chicken.
all. It does, yeah. It's like shredded chicken or shredded pork. There you go. Plenty to coat all that. So that should give quite a nice saucy dish. I've not actually decided what we're having with this. We could have it on like sliders. We could have it on some wraps. We could have it on some jacket potatoes. We could have it with rice. All sorts of things we can do with it. I'll decide later. I'm just going to put this on slow cook because we've got things to do. So slow cook. Time is it? Clocks are changed, so clocks. It is 11:30? No, that can't be 11:30.
It is, I've changed the clock.
You've changed the clock, are you sure? Okay, it's whatever time, it's morning. This can go for about 6 hours. So slow cook, I'm going to put it on low. Oh, I'll press that again. Still getting used to this. For 6 hours, start. Main thing to do now, tidy all this up. We have beeped, we are all done, so let's turn this off. And oh, I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of a steam release just to get the last of that out. There we go. Oh, and I've just discovered this. Look, you can rest your lid of your kitchen pot, of your Instant Pot, on there. I don't know whether they intended that. I saw it on a TikTok and thought, that's great. So have a look in there. That looks deep and dark and delicious. The amount of sauce I used was perfect. What I'm going to do now is just have a little taste, and doesn't that look like pulled meat? So I better not have that much though, because this is going to be nuclear hot. We can see how steamy it is. Super soft and tender. Tangy, sweet, barbecue goodness. We're going to have it on some jacket potatoes. I started in the microwave and finished in the air fryer. If we have jacket potatoes left, I'm just going to shut them in the fridge. We will have sauce left. I'll chuck that in the fridge. That might be my lunch tomorrow, or maybe tomorrow and the next day. But there we go. Barbecue jackfruit, all sorted. I saw a video yesterday where somebody had made chicken stew with dumplings. And I thought, oh, I've not had dumplings for ages. So I'm going to give a go at doing some vegan dumplings. I've had a look at a few recipes online. But before I get to the dumpling bit, obviously I need to make the casserole stew bit. So I have got some tofu, which is going to be my chicken. I'm going to break that up. We're going to have some mushrooms that I've got left over and an onion in the pan going. We're going to go for the bag of mixed veg because, you know, it's useful to have in. I've got this spring green bag that needs using up as well. If you can see, there's some little, see these bits? These bits really annoy me. It's like the central core of it. I always end up ripping those bits out because I don't like them. They're a bit chewy. Anyway, I have now a cacophony, I love that word, of herbs and spices and stuff. Well, not spices, but I've got, anyway, celery, salt, mixed herbs, tarragon, onion powder, garlic powder, sage, bay leaves, all really nice flavours with a chickeny style dish. Henderson's relish because don't use Worcester sauce, and miso paste. Not traditional in this kind of thing, but is brilliant at giving that savoury flavour to something. So I'm going to chuck a bit of that in, maybe a teaspoon of that in. The main thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with my tofu, which I'm going to break into chunks. It's going to go in there with the Hendersons and some of the other herbs and spices. Right, they're into bite-size-ish pieces. I'm going to throw on my Hendersons, just giving it a good sprinkle so everything gets a bit. Then I'm going to go on with the celery salt. I could use celery in this dish, but I don't have any. And then I'm going to go on with the onion powder. I mean, I'm using onion anyway, but it always is a good enhancer. Garlic powder. Okay. That's pretty much what I'm going to leave on the tofu. The other things, the mixed herbs and things like that, are going to go in the main part of the dish. While I'm here, I'm just going to leave this for an hour or so, and then I'm going to pop it in the air fryer just to slightly crisp it up because I don't want it to go into the dish without crisping it up slightly. So in the meantime, I'm going to prep everything else and get going on what's in the pan. I've sauteed the mushrooms for just a few minutes, so they're just got a little bit softer and a little bit of colour. I don't know why, but I always want to cook a casserole stewy thing in a cast iron pan. It just feels the right thing to do. If you're just cooking it in a metal pan, it just doesn't quite seem the same. Anyway, that's just me. Garlic and the mushrooms I've just shredded, so it keeps them a little bit more textural, and they're going in there. And just cook these now until mushrooms are softened, and then we'll start adding our other ingredients and stock. Everything's softened. You've got a little bit of that fond on the bottom, you know, a little bit that will scrape up once you add some water to it. I'm not going in with my normal bouillon powder. I'm just going in with a normal stock cube because I feel as though my bouillon powder would override a lot of the flavours that I'm going to put in there. So I'm just going to go in with that. I'm also going to go in with the miso. So it's about a teaspoon of miso. If you've not got miso, don't worry about it. It's one of those things that just adds a depth to the flavour. So I'm just thinking, if you've not got miso, you could put a little bit more of the Hendersons in there to give it that flavour as well. The mushrooms are going to add that richness to it. I mean, it's that fifth flavour they call, the fifth taste, umami, which is really quite cool that we've got this. It's in a lot of your vegetables and things, as it is. What's it in? Mushrooms, tomatoes, quite a few things like that. Now, if you are, I watch a guy called Uncle Roger on YouTube. He goes on about MSG all the time. If you are a proponent of MSG, throw it in. I don't mind MSG. I know a lot of people are not into MSG, which is fine, but I don't mind it. MSG is a natural occurring thing. It's in, so I think it's in tomatoes as well. But, oops, sorry, that's me going over the top to try and get all this greens in. I did pick off those stalks, which are in this, which is going to go in my stock bag in the freezer. So I'll be chucking that. I think I've nearly got 2 full bags, so that's going to go into the pressure cooker. I'm going to go in as well with a load of my frozen veg. There we go. As you can see, as usual, I'm making more than what would be needed for 2 people. I don't understand how to make things for small portions. So I'd rather make a big lot and then I can freeze it, or I can have it for lunch. So that's just some mixed herbs. Tarragon, I've only got a little bit left, so that's probably half a teaspoon of tarragon. A little bit of sage, not too much because it can be quite overpowering. That's probably a quarter of a teaspoon. And I'm going to go in with a couple of bay leaves. I do have a bay plant outside, which I'm going to dry the leaves of this year and see how they turn out. So that is that. I am literally going to leave that now for half an hour on low, just letting it simmer, do its thing. I won't need to worry about putting the tofu in and then cooking it for a longer time, because obviously the tofu is going to cook in the air fryer, so that's not going to be an issue. So then once this is cooked and I've put the tofu in, it's a case of popping the dumplings on top and just cooking for long enough to cook those dumplings. Just before I put the tofu in here, I'm just going to pour in a bit of a corn flour slurry, just to thicken it up very, very slightly. It's gone a very dark colour, but I think that's because of the mushrooms and the greens that are in there, but absolutely fine. Smells amazing. Do you know when you love it when the house just smells so homely and tasty? I'm going to take these bay leaves out that I put in, if I can find them. Okay, around there somewhere. I'll find them as I'm mixing them. In the meantime, while this is thickening up slightly, I am going to make our dumplings. I'm going to scooch you over here. Okay, in this bowl I have got 150 grams of self-raising flour, 60 grams of spread butter. This is a vegan spread that I've got. There's some herbs in there as well, it's just the mixed herbs, and I'm just going to scrunch it all together to make similar as you would do if you were doing a pastry. You just want to make it into small pieces. You can do this in a food processor as well. So I'm just going to quickly do that. If you see my baking videos, you'll know that I prefer using soft spread for doing things like this because it just goes in easier. The other way of doing it is, if you are going to do it with a block spread, put it in the freezer and grate it. Just works a little bit easier, but half the time I just forget to put it in the freezer. So if you buy block butter or block spread, buy an extra one if you've got a few pounds extra, and pop one straight in the freezer and keep it as your freezer one. If you do some baking, keep one in the freezer is going to be my tip. Whether I actually do it or not is another matter. But there you go. There is that. I'm now going to get some very cold water. Just going to dribble a little bit of cold water in. Possibly about 2 to 3 teaspoons, just to see how it comes together. You don't want a damp dough. So this is coming together. Actually, that's coming together quite nicely. Obviously, it comes together a little bit easier when you are using a softer spread, because the spread will just help it combine a bit. So I want to try and do this all in the bowl so that I'm not making a mess on my work surface to have to clean up. Right, we are nearly there. Do I risk putting in a little bit extra, or do I just go for it? What do you think? I think that's pretty good. Okay, just going to scrape off that little bit of extra that we've got on our fingers. Pat that all in. Just leave that for a second. We have got our tofu that has been in the air fryer, so we're going back over here to pop that into the pan. So we've thickened up very slightly. Tofu is going in. Put that back down. And now we're just going to carefully put our dumplings on top. I'm not going to mess with these too much. I'm not going to roll them out massively. I'm just going to kind of break them off and roughly ball them. So let me move that out of the way and just gently lay them. Now we know dumplings in theory should swell up. I'm hoping these will, with them having self-raising flour. So hello Smarty. There we go. Once I've got these on, I'm going to keep this on a simmer for, I'm going to say 45 minutes. The dumpling recipe that there we go, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Oh, there's going to be an extra one. Me and Chris will be fighting over who has that one, unless this makes 3 portions and it's 3 per. We'll have to see. Anyway, arguments about dumplings aside, I'm going to put this on a simmer, so turn it down slightly, put the lid on and let it go for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and see where we're up to. If you're wondering why my angle's different, it's because I've squished it onto the lower ring. And if you're wondering why there's a gap here, it's because Chris has been in and had a bit of a nibble, which is why I've got half a dumpling going on there. But anyway, the dumplings were in for 35 minutes, and then I took the lid off because I kind of wanted them a little bit more drier on the top, so I like them. So I'm going to show you here. So you know when you've got a soft squidgy bottom of a dumpling but a drier top of the dumpling? Anyway, I'm going to end up tasting this bottom bit. It's thickened up with the slurry. It looks really good. We're going to go in. We're going to taste. I know it's going to be good because Chris has already said. Oh, dumpling recipe is going in my book. I have a book that I keep all my good recipes in. So I'm sorry, I'm double dipping. Yeah, so I have a book with all my good recipes in. You will have seen it sometimes if you've been watching my videos before. It's I normally show the recipe going, and this is my recipe for blah 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 blah, whatever. But yeah, I keep my good recipes in that book. Those dumplings are definitely going to be added, and they're so simple to do. So enjoy this dumpling deliciousness. So how was that? Love just being able to grab stuff out of the fridge and think, right, random thing goes with that and that, using up bits and bobs of that. So the gnocchi pasta bake was absolutely delicious. Bit of a crazy one when you throw together different things and you don't know what you're going to end up with, but it tasted great. Jackfruit barbecued, oh, absolutely delicious. We ended up having that 2 days on the trot because it was so yummy. Really sweet, but had a really nice tang. If I remember saying that, it gave me, oh, that flavour just there, which I absolutely love. And a comforting dish with dumplings, and I am making dumplings again. The only thing I will say about those dumplings is little sprinkle of salt in the dumpling mix, I think would have just enhanced it even more. It wasn't until I was eating the dish completely and all together that I realised it just needed that little something with it to enhance the flavour. So any ideas of other things that you would like to see me cook that I have different things in for? I'm sure there are plenty of recipes that you can come up with that I would love to try. Let me know in the comments below. Please do the liking and definitely do the subscribing. We're doing really well on that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.